All right, joining us now is Sunny Slaughter, a law enforcement and litigation expert. She's coming to us live this morning from Washington. Sunny, welcome. Let's start in Minneapolis, where the FBI has taken over the investigation, and state authorities say that they have been denied access to the case. Is that standard? Is that appropriate? How do you see it?
Good morning, and thank you for having me. It's not the usual, it's not the standard operation. They usually work together to ensure that they have continuity, not only of information and context, but that they also can provide calm to the community when they are communicating exactly the details and investigative processes. So I think this is a different stance for the federal government. And it's concerning to some of those that are witnessing what is happening.
And Sunny, I had on a legal guest yesterday who said that you may not see federal charges here, but he would expect to see potentially state charges here. How much does that complicate things if there is to be a state investigation, if they don't have access to the evidence, if they don't have access to the case from the beginning?
Well, what happens is that when they don't have all of the access, then they don't have all of the information to conduct a thorough investigation. And that also further complicates what the public's expectations are and what the potential is for litigation that is sound, reasonable, and addresses all of the issues. So it doesn't make sense not to have all of the information and going forward when you don't know what you're truly going forward with. Prosecution then becomes difficult.
Yeah, how concerned are you about the perception of a lack of transparency in the public because of the way the investigation is being handled, because of this move?
I'm very concerned because the disruption with an investigation also causes disruption between local and federal law enforcement agencies who have to work together, not only on immigration issues, but on other issues that have nothing to do with immigration. They often have cooperative agreements. They work together on missing persons, investigative practices, training. And now this is really concerning that we are not moving forward in a way where law enforcement agencies are in unison and step, even when they don't agree.
I mean, would you go so far as saying it makes the job of local police departments even harder, even if they didn't necessarily have anything to do with the incident sort of at the issue of these protests?
Oh, it absolutely makes it harder because public trust has been built over the years, particularly after the shooting of George Floyd, when it was really a lens on local law enforcement and the relationships and building trust between law enforcement that are local and those in the community, because local law enforcement needs the help of community when it comes to other crimes, when it comes to reporting, when it comes to support, when it comes to law enforcement response. And because local law enforcement officers live in these communities, amongst those that they are not only in charge of enforcing laws, but also charged with the protection of the people in the communities. It is complicating everything at this moment.
And what about the likelihood of increased protests or tensions that rise even further because of what could be perceived by some as a lack of transparency here?
That's a really great question, and it's one that I've been hearing over and over again. Protests need to be peaceful because when they are not, and when there's disruption, it not only disrupts the community and the sanctity and security of the community, but it then fosters less transparency when there's no incidents amongst whether the community will believe anything that law enforcement says locally, whether they will believe that they are being protected, and whether they can separate political ideology from what they are doing every single day in communities. These are difficult times for all of us. And our lens of humanity is being tested in ways, and particularly when transparency is called into question, when there are competing narratives about actions that have happened and whether people will believe local law enforcement who is operating in their community every single day. Transparency is key. Competing narratives need to, calm down. Protests are striking up everywhere. These are dangerous times, not only for immigration, but in living in general when people don't have confidence in their local law enforcement agencies.
Sunny Slaughter, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.